Hello everyone, welcome back to the third unit in General Psychology. I am Ms. Dharni, Assistant Professor in the Department of Psychology. In this unit on emotion, we will explore the fascinating nature of how we process emotions and deal with them effectively. Today, we will delve into this fascinating world of emotions. The word emotion is derived from the Latin term emover, which means to move. This etymology highlights the dynamic nature of emotions and their ability to influence our actions and thoughts, which is basically energy in motion, emotion. Emotions occupy a place of great importance in human life because they make our experience infinitely varied, thrilling, beautiful, and there is a lot to this. Imagine life without emotion, it would be dull and monotonous, much like the existence of a machine. However, this perspective only represents one side of the coin. While emotions enrich our lives, they can also be both integrating and disintegrating. Negative emotions such as anger and anxiety can significantly impact our physical and mental health. In fact, these negative feelings can lead to bodily disorders known as psychosomatic disorders. This can range from common ailments like the cold to more severe conditions like cancer. You'd be reading about this in abnormal psychology as well. While we explore the work of psychologist Robert Plutchik, who identified 8 primary emotions, these emotions are fear, surprise, sadness, disgust, anger, anticipation, joy, and trust. Each of these emotions play a significant role in our emotional experiences and interactions. What's fascinating is that these primary emotions can be mixed to create complex emotional experiences. For example, consider a situation where a 5-year-old named Peter feels both joy and fear as he eats a stolen cookie. The combination of these emotions result in the feeling of guilt. This illustrates how our emotional landscape is not just made up of single feeling, but can be a rich tapestry of mixed emotion that influence our behavior and decision. Now, let's also discuss the physiological changes associated with emotions, as emotions are defined as an aroused state. This aroused state refers to psychological and physiological arousal, which includes increases in your heartbeat, blood pressure, respiration, and other bodily function. These arousal reactions are often referred to as autonomic reactions because they are regulated by the autonomic nervous system, which operates involuntarily. Why we can study these physiological reactions under several categories. The first category is the changes in circulatory system. Emotions can lead to variations in heart rate and the blood flow. The second one would be gastrointestinal changes, whereas stress or anxiety may cause stomach discomfort or changes in digestion. Moving on, the excretory system changes, whereas emotions can influence urinary and bowel function. The respiratory changes, because of respiratory changes, it can alter your breathing patterns, often leading to rapid or shallow breath. Glandular changes. Emotion can trigger hormonal responses such as sweat production and other glandular activities. Changes in muscle movements. This can lead to muscle tension or relaxation depending on the emotional state. JPMR is also based on this. The other changes, such as various physiological responses, will also occur reflecting our emotional experiences. Understanding these physiological changes altogether will provide you a valuable insight into how our emotion not only affect our mental state but also have a very tangible effect on our body. In this segment, we will also be exploring several important theories of emotion that helps us to understand how emotions are experienced and at the same time how are they expressed. The first theory is James Lange theory. This theory posits that emotion arises from physiological reaction to a stimuli. For example, we feel fear because our heart races and we sweat in response to a threat. The next theory is the Cannon-Bard theory. In contrast, the Cannon-Bard theory suggests that a physiological arousal and emotional experience occurs simultaneously but independently. When we encounter a bear, we feel fear at the same time and our body reacts. The next theory is Sacco-Singo two-factor theory. This theory emphasizes that the emotion is based on physiological arousal and cognitive labeling. We interpret our arousal based on the context, which helps us to identify the specific emotion that we are feeling. Moving on to the next, which is the cognitive appraisal theory proposed by Lazarus. According to this theory, our emotional responses are determined by our appraisal of a situation. However, we evaluate an event which influences the emotion we experience. The opponent process theory by Solomon, this theory suggests that emotion come in pair. When one emotion is experienced, its opposite is suppressed. For instance, after feeling intense joy, we may later experience sadness or emptiness. Interesting, right? Facial feedback hypothesis, which is proposed by Izzard, this hypothesis posits that the facial expressions can influence your emotional experience. Smiling can actually make us feel happier, while frowning can lead to a feeling of sadness. The evolutionary theory of emotion, very similar to Robert Plutchik's theory, Darwin proposed that emotion evolved as an adaptive response to the environmental challenge. The emotions serve important survival functions, whereas which helps us to respond to threat and also build social bond. First, let's consider the phrase that face is the index of the mind. This means that our emotions are often reflected in our facial expression, allowing us to recognize how others are feeling. For instance, 6 basic emotions such as anger, sadness, surprise, fear, disgust, and joy are very clearly represented on the human face. However, this does not imply that we are limited to just these 6 expressions. Emotion can occur in many combinations. For example, a person might experience surprise alongside happiness. Now let's turn our attention to eye contact. Just a few seconds of eye contact can convey meaning that might otherwise require hundreds of words to express. This importance is captured in a saying by the ancient poet who referred to the eyes as the windows to the soul. Our eyes can express dominance, involvement, and attitude towards others. For example, submissive or shy individuals often lower their eye to avoid making eye contact, whereas dominant people tend to look directly into others' eyes. Converse, disinterested individuals may not engage in eye contact at all. Eye contact can also vary with emotional context. We often avoid looking into angry eyes but may gaze lovingly at someone we care about. Lastly, staring is a specific form of eye contact where one person continues to gaze steadily at another person regardless of what the other person does. This can convey various messages depending on the context and the relationship between the individuals involved. Thank you for your attention. In this unit, we briefly discussed about emotion and how this could be studied based on a facial and other body languages.